My wife came back after 10 days away with her ex. She called it closure. I didn't challenge her, didn't change my tone. While clearing the table, I asked one simple question. She froze halfway through standing up, didn't look at me, didn't sit back down, just reached for her phone with shaking hands. I'm 37, and I thought I knew my wife. We'd been married for 9 years, met in our late 20s, dated for 2 years before getting married, built what I thought was a solid life together. Monica worked in real estate. I'm a financial advisor at a regional firm in Milwaukee. We had a house, a dog, routines that felt comfortable. No kids yet, but we'd been talking about it seriously. About 2 months ago, her ex contacted her. Kevin Walsh, the one she dated for 4 years before me, the one she said was her first real love, the one whose name still occasionally came up in stories about her 20s. He'd reached out through social media, said he was going through a divorce, wanted to reconnect with old friends. Innocent enough, or so she presented it. She asked if I minded if she grabbed coffee with him. Just coffee, just catching up. I said fine, because what else was I supposed to say? If I'd said no, I'd be the controlling husband. So I said yes and tried not to think about it. One coffee turned into regular texts. I'd see her smiling at her phone in ways she hadn't smiled at me in months. When I asked about it, she'd say they were just talking, old memories, nothing serious. Then came the request that changed everything. He's really struggling with the divorce, she said one night while we were getting ready for bed. He asked if I'd be willing to spend some time with him, help him process things. He doesn't have anyone else. Spend time with him? How? He wants to take a trip. The place we used to go when we were dating. He thinks it would help him find closure. I stopped brushing my teeth. A trip? Just 10 days, maybe less. 10 days. He needs support. And he wants his ex-girlfriend to provide that support while he's going through a divorce. It's not like that, she said quickly. What's it like then? It's closure for both of us. We never really ended things properly. It just fizzled out. He thinks if we can revisit that place, have some real conversations, we can both move forward. You want to take a 10-day trip with your ex-boyfriend to get closure. When you say it like that, it sounds bad. How else should I say it? She sat on the edge of the bed. I need this. I didn't realize how much unresolved stuff I still had with him until we started talking again. It's affecting us. Our marriage, I can feel it. Our marriage was fine until he showed up. Was it? Be honest. That stopped me because she was right in a way. Things had been fine, comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Maybe we'd been coasting. But I didn't think the solution was her running off with an ex-boyfriend. How long? I asked. 10 days. He wants to really work through things, not rush it. And you agreed to this? I told him I needed to talk to you first. But yes, I want to go. I need to go. I think it will help us. Help me figure out what I really want. That last sentence hung in the air like poison. What you really want? You're not sure anymore. I'm saying I have things to work through and I can't do that while I'm here living our normal life. I need space to think. We argued for another hour. I said it was insane. She said I was being insecure. I said she was asking permission to have an emotional affair. She said I was making it into something it wasn't. Round and round until I was exhausted. In the end, I didn't explicitly say yes. But I didn't say no either. I just went silent and she took that as permission. She left 3 days later, packed a suitcase, kissed me on the cheek like she was leaving for a work conference, and drove away. The first week was hell. She texted sporadically. Made it safely. Weather is nice. Having good conversations. Nothing substantial. Nothing that told me what was actually happening. I tried to keep busy. Went to work, came home, walked the dog, watched shows I didn't care about. But work became a problem. I started missing details in client portfolios, showed up late to meetings. My colleague Jerry noticed during our Thursday morning review. Ian, the Morrison account analysis is half finished. That's not like you. Sorry, just distracted. I'll get it done today. Everything okay at home? You've seemed off all week. Jerry's been divorced for 3 years. He has radar for relationship bullshit. Monica's traveling, I said. For 10 days, in June? Where's she going? I couldn't tell him the truth. Family stuff. But Jerry's not stupid. He pulled me aside after the client meeting. Look, I don't know what's going on, but you're about to fuck up your performance review. Whatever's happening at home, don't let it tank your career too. That's when it hit me. I was losing my focus because I couldn't stop thinking about what she was doing, who she was with, whether she was sleeping in the same bed as Kevin. My clients were paying me to manage their retirement funds, and I was sitting there wondering if my wife was cheating on me. By day 7, I'd lost 8 pounds, couldn't eat breakfast, picked at lunch, found myself at the gym at 5 a.m. because I couldn't sleep anyway. Might as well punish my body since my brain was already torturing me. The texts stopped completely after that. 4 straight days of nothing. I called twice. Both went to voicemail. I texted asking if she was okay. No response. My brother Scott called, wanted to know if we were still coming to his kid's birthday party that weekend. Monica's traveling, I said. Everything okay? You sound weird. Just work stress. But it wasn't work stress. It was the growing certainty that my wife was on a romantic getaway with her ex under the guise of closure, and I'd been stupid enough to let it happen. Jerry cornered me Friday afternoon. Dude, you look like hell. What's really going on? Monica went on a trip with her ex-boyfriend. What the fuck? For 10 days? She called it closure. Jerry stared at me. And you said yes to this? I didn't say no. Same thing, man. Jesus Christ. That weekend was the worst. Jerry dragged me to his place Saturday night, ordered pizza, cracked open beers. Look, I've been where you are. Different circumstances, but same shit. Diane didn't go on some romantic getaway, but she was fucking around. The not knowing is what kills you. I keep thinking maybe I'm overreacting. Overreacting? Your wife is playing house with her ex for 10 days and you're worried about overreacting. Ian, you make good money. You're a decent guy. You don't have to put up with this bullshit. What if she really does just need closure? Jerry looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Closure is a phone call. Closure is coffee and a conversation. Closure is not a 10-day vacation with someone you used to fuck. The crude language should have bothered me, but it didn't. It felt honest in a way Monica's explanations didn't. Monday morning, I could barely focus on the quarterly reports. My phone buzzed during the client presentation. Single message. Coming home tomorrow. We should talk. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and stared at that text for 5 minutes. She was coming back. After 4 days of radio silence, now she wanted to talk. Tuesday evening, she walked in the door at 6:30, tanned, relaxed, looking more at peace than I'd seen her in years. She hugged me, and I stood there with my arms at my sides, not sure what to do. How was it? I asked. Good, really good. I'm glad I went. Did you get your closure? I think so. She didn't elaborate, just started unpacking her suitcase, hanging clothes back in the closet like nothing had happened, like she'd been gone for a normal trip and not 10 days with an ex-boyfriend I'd been, imagining her with every single night. Are we going to talk about it? I asked. Let me settle in first. I'm exhausted. She showered, changed into comfortable clothes, came downstairs. I'd made dinner, nothing fancy, just pasta. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, like we'd done thousands of times before, but everything felt different. So, I said, tell me about the trip. It was what I needed. We talked a lot, worked through old feelings. I understand now why things ended with us, why they had to end. And I have clarity now about what I want. My stomach dropped. Here it comes. Which is, I want to make our marriage work. I know that now. Being with him made me realize what I have with you. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt suspicious. The way she said, being with him, it was too casual, too loaded. Being with him, spending time with him, talking with him. You know what I mean. Do I? She reached across the table for my hand. I moved it too. Pick up my water glass. Her hand hung in the air for a second before she pulled it back. I know this is weird. I know it's not conventional, but I'm being honest with you. I needed to do this to know for sure. And now I know I want us. We ate in silence for a few minutes. I was trying to process, trying to figure out if I believed her, trying to decide if it even mattered if I believed her. The pasta tasted like cardboard. My appetite had been shit for 10 days. Did you sleep with him? I asked finally, the fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Is that really what matters? Yes. I don't think we should focus on physical details. What matters is where we go from here. That's not an answer. I'm not going to give you an answer that lets you torture yourself with images. It's not helpful. But it happened. She didn't respond, just looked down at her plate. That was answer enough. I stood up, started clearing the table. She stood too, gathering her dishes. We moved around the kitchen in choreographed silence, her washing, me drying, like we'd done 1,000 times before. But my hands were shaking as I put the plates away. I kept thinking about Jerry's words. Closure is not a 10-day vacation with someone you used to fuck. Except now, it was someone she was currently fucking, while married to me. The dishwasher was loaded, the counter wiped down. Normal evening routine, but nothing about this was normal. She was standing by the sink, drying her hands on the towel, and I was putting the last plate in the cabinet. That's when the question formed in my mind, the one that had been building since she walked in the door, looking so relaxed, so satisfied, so at peace. The question that would either put my fears to rest or confirm everything I suspected. I turned around, dish towel still in my hands, and looked at my wife of 9 years. If he wasn't going through a divorce, I said, voice completely calm. If he was available, would you have come back? The effect was immediate. She froze halfway through standing up from putting away the dish soap. Didn't look at me, didn't sit back down. Just stood there, bent at an awkward angle, one hand still on the cabinet door. Then she reached for her phone with hands that were visibly shaking. What are you doing? I asked. I need to call someone. Who? My sister. Answer my question first. She straightened up slowly. Phone clutched in both hands like a lifeline. That's not fair. That's a hypothetical. That doesn't mean anything. But we both knew it meant everything. The way she couldn't look at me, the way her voice had changed, the way she was holding that phone like she needed backup to handle this conversation. It means everything. Answer it. I'm here, aren't I? You're here because he's not available, because he's going through a divorce and probably told you he wasn't ready for something serious. Answer the question. If he was available, would you be standing in this kitchen right now? Her face crumpled then. The calm, peaceful expression she'd worn since walking through the door completely collapsed. I don't know. You don't know. I'm confused. I thought I had clarity, but now you're asking these questions and I'm confused again. You're confused because you know the answer and you don't want to say it. That's not fair. You spent 10 days with your ex-boyfriend, probably sleeping with him, definitely falling back in love with him, and you came back here because it didn't work out, not because you chose me, because he wasn't an option, and now you're trying to reframe it as some kind of journey of self-discovery that led you back to our marriage. You're twisting everything. Am I? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me he said he wanted to be with you and you said no because you're married. Tell me that happened. She couldn't. She just stood there, tears running down her face, phone still clutched in her hands like some kind of shield. Call your sister, I said. I'm going for a drive. I grabbed my keys and left. Drove around for 2 hours with no destination, just moving because standing still felt impossible. My phone rang 6 times. I didn't answer. Couldn't face whatever bullshit explanation she was workshopping with her sister. When I finally came back, it was almost midnight. Lisa's car was in the driveway. I could see them through the kitchen window, heads together at the table, probably strategizing how to spin this. I went to a hotel. The Hampton Inn off Highway 94 became my home for the next 3 days. Monica texted constantly, called, begged me to come home so we could talk. Lisa texted too, saying I was being unreasonable, that I needed to at least hear her out. But I'd heard enough. That moment in the kitchen told me everything. The way she froze, the way she couldn't answer, the way her whole body language changed when I asked the real question. She came back because Plan A didn't work out, not because she chose Plan B. Work was a disaster. I was running on 3 hours of sleep and hotel coffee, missing calls, forgetting appointments. Jerry covered for me with Morrison account, told our supervisor I had a family emergency. You can't keep this up, he said Wednesday morning. You look like you haven't slept in days. I haven't? Monica still thinks she can fix this? Her whole family does. They think I'm being unreasonable. Jerry laughed, but there was no humor in it. Of course they do. Easier to make you the bad guy than admit their daughter fucked up a good marriage. That afternoon, Jerry found out when I missed our weekly poker game and showed up at the hotel. Dude, what the hell? I told him everything. The trip, the questions, the non-answers, the family pressure. He listened, ordered room service, cracked open a beer from his truck. 10 days with the ex, he said finally. That's not closure. That's a trial run. Her family thinks I'm overreacting. Her family doesn't. Have to live with this. You know what I went through with Diane? Trust me, once that doubt gets in your head, it doesn't leave. You'll be checking her phone, wondering about every business trip, every time she's 10 minutes late. That's no way to live. On Thursday, I went back to the house while Monica was at work, packed a bag with enough clothes for a week, left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter next to her coffee mug. That got her attention. She came home early, found me loading the last of my things into my car. What are you doing? Leaving. You can't just leave. Watch me. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. You're just upset it didn't work out the way you wanted. That's not true. Then tell me what is true. Tell me exactly what happened on that trip. She looked at me, mouth opening and closing, trying to find words that would make this okay. There weren't any. We were together, she said finally. Not the whole time, but yes, we were together. And I thought maybe we could try again. But he said he wasn't ready. He said he needed time to process his divorce, to figure out what he wanted. He said maybe in a year, if we were both still available. He benched you. What? He benched you, put you on hold, and you came back here because you couldn't just sit around waiting for him. No, I came back because I realized this is where I belong. You realized that after he rejected you. Not before, not during. After. She started sobbing. I made a mistake. I know I did. But I'm here now trying to fix it, and you won't even give me a chance. A chance? You want me to give you a chance? You took 10 days to give him a chance. 10 days of my life where I sat here wondering if my wife was falling back in love with someone else. And I was right. She was. The only reason you're standing here is because he said no. And you want me to just accept that and move on? I love you. No, you love the safety of this. You love having someone who will be here when your romantic adventures don't work out. But you don't love me. Not the way a wife should love a husband. I got in my car. She grabbed the door, trying to keep me from closing it. Please don't do this. Please, we can go to counseling. We can work through this. Let go of the door. I won't let you leave like this. You let yourself leave for 10 days. I can leave for however long I want. I pulled the door closed, started the engine. She stood in the driveway crying as I drove away. I stayed with Jerry for a week. My phone never stopped. Monica's texts evolved from apologetic to angry to desperate. Lisa called, Monica's mother called, even her father called, telling me I was throwing away a good marriage over a mistake. A mistake, like she'd forgotten to pick up milk, not had a 10-day affair with her ex. On Monday morning, I called a lawyer. Angela Foster was straightforward. Divorce attorney, no nonsense, expensive, but worth it. 9 years, joint assets, house, no kids. It'll be messy but doable. Wisconsin's a no-fault state, so her affair won't matter legally, but it might help with settlement negotiations if she feels guilty enough. How long? If she doesn't contest it, 4 to 6 months. If she fights, could be a year. I didn't file immediately. Sat with the paperwork for 2 days, tried to figure out what I actually wanted. Did I want to divorce her? Part of me did. The part that felt betrayed, humiliated, replaced. But another part, the part that remembered 9 years of mostly good times, that part hesitated. Jerry wasn't having it. You're overthinking this, man. She made her choice when she got on that plane. Everything since then has just been damage control. On Thursday, Monica showed up at Jerry's place. I don't know how she found me, but she did. We need to talk, she said when I opened the door. I don't think we do. Please, just give me 30 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Against my better judgment, I let her in. We sat in Jerry's living room. He'd made himself scarce, but I could hear him clanking around in the garage, probably listening. She talked, told me everything. How the trip started innocent, really was just talking at first. But then old feelings came back. The familiarity, the history, the nostalgia of being 24 again. They slept together on night 3, spent the next week acting like a couple again, talking about the future, making plans. She'd even looked at apartments in Kevin City, wondering if she could transfer her real estate license. On the last night, she'd asked him what this meant, if they were getting back together. He'd said he wasn't ready, needed time, maybe someday. Classic non-commitment bullshit. She'd spent the entire drive home trying to figure out what to do. came to the conclusion that she'd made a massive mistake, that what she had with me was real and lasting, and what she had with him was just nostalgia. "I don't believe you," I said when she finished. "I'm telling the truth." "I believe you're telling the truth about what happened. I don't believe you about your feelings. I think you're here because plan A didn't work out and I'm plan B, and I'm not interested in being anyone's backup plan. You're not my backup plan. Then what am I? Because from where I'm sitting, you left your husband to see if you could rekindle things with an ex. It didn't work out. Now you're back trying to salvage what you threw away. That's literally the definition of a backup plan." She left an hour later. I'd promised to think about it, to consider counseling, but honestly, I'd already made up my mind. I filed for divorce the following Tuesday. Monica didn't contest it, didn't fight me on anything. We split assets fairly, sold the house, divided everything down the middle. She kept the dog. I didn't have the heart to fight her for him too. The divorce was finalized 4 months after she took. That trip. 9 years of marriage ended because she couldn't let go of an ex-boyfriend. Work got better. My performance review came back strong once I got my head on straight. Jerry and I started hanging out more, not just poker nights, but actual friendship. Having someone who'd been through divorce helped more than I expected. "The first year's the hardest," he told me. "After that, you realize how much energy you were wasting trying to make something work that was already broken." I found out later through mutual friends that she and Kevin did get back together about 5 months after our divorce. Apparently, he'd processed his divorce and was ready to try again. They lasted 6 months before breaking up again. Something about old patterns repeating, neither of them willing to change. She tried to reach out to me after that breakup. Long message about how she'd ruined the best thing in her life, how she understood now what she'd lost, how she'd spent the past year learning hard, lessons about herself. I didn't respond. Started dating again about 8 months after the divorce. Nothing serious at first, just getting back out there. It was weird explaining to women why my marriage ended, but it also taught me what green flags looked like. The woman I'm seeing now, Sarah, she's a nurse at Children's Hospital. We met at a coffee shop, completely normal. She's never been married, no dramatic ex-boyfriend situations, no need for closure trips. When she says she wants to be with me, she means it. No backup plans, no hedged bets. Here's what I learned. Some people need to blow up their entire life to figure out what they want. And some people, like me, need to let them do it and walk away. Could I have fought for the marriage, gone to counseling, tried to work through the betrayal? Maybe. But I asked myself that question while clearing the table, and her reaction told me everything I needed to know. She froze because she knew the truth. If he'd been available, if he'd said yes, she wouldn't have come back, and I refuse to spend my life wondering if I'm someone's second choice. I'm 37 years old. I'm divorced. I'm living in a smaller apartment and rebuilding my life from scratch. But I'm not anyone's backup plan anymore. And honestly, that feels better than the last year of my marriage ever did. She wanted closure with him. I got closure from her. Funny how that works. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is refuse to accept less than you deserve. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from someone who can't choose you first.